Minasan, okarinasai. Today I will be attempting to cover everything that happened with all of the live performers in the LoveLive series. As I said in the last one, a year is a long time and I'm just one person, so I am bound to have forgotten something important. But also I didn't go over every single little detail that every girl did, though I came pretty damn close. And a lot of the girls have very small, inaccessible stuff for us foreigners. However, if you feel I missed something important, feel free to comment down below. Also keep in mind all the things I go over are strictly for the Seiyu's activities outside of the franchise. So if it's LoveLive related, I probably covered it in the last one. Also, I may talk a little fast and even breeze through some things. There's a lot to go over and I don't want to be here too long. One last thing, I may repeat some things that involve multiple girls since I would fill up this script every few months as the year went on. So I may have forgotten that I already wrote down an event or something. But let's dive right into it with all the group related things, the big events that had multiple girls and such. Starting with Masayoshi Oishi and Airi Suzuki's Any-Song cover show. This year had Aika Kobayashi on twice, first singing Ambivalent from the Apothecary Diaries and also singing Lion from Macross F. Liu was also going to be on to duet with Kyon, but she had to miss out due to health issues. Rihoita was also on there singing Rolling Star from Bleach. Rika Koida sang My Soul Your Beats from Angel Beats, and Yuina sang the main theme from the movie Belle. Then over on the Crossing YouTube channel, where Seiyu also do covers, we only had Aya Uchida singing Chu Tayose from Chainsaw Man. But next season, which will obviously be next year, we'll have Eminita singing something. Animax Musics went back to having two shows. For the spring one, we had Misaki Nako, and in the fall, we had Aina Suzuki and Yoshino Najo. Over at the Big Annie Mellow Summer Music Festival, they had both Nanjo and Aina, but then a special performance with Aina and Miyutan and others for the Joshin series. Rippy was supposed to be there too, but she had to miss out due to poor health. Then Kubota-san was also there with her other group Iris, and for a little bonus, our former Setsuna Yuki, Tomori Kusunoki, was also there. The special performance Anisama World in Abema, which is the TV station I assume, had both Maeda and Onishi. Then over in the Shanghai event, having Shuka and Liu. It would be kind of silly not to have her, honestly. The agency Amuse Inc. had their big fan festival in early December, having members from the agency like Moipi, Hinata, Asami, Kaorin, and the young cutie Kokona. Maria Sashide joined Pretty Derby with fellow Niji girls Kaori, Hinaki, and Akari, also Muse's Sora, and most of them did a broadcast together. The franchise had a big tour that started last year, this year having Part 3, Yell, where both Kaori and Hinaki were present for both days, and then Part 4, Newgate, Hinaki was there on day 1, and she was also present on day 2 along with Maeda and Tokui. Maeda being with them at the NHK Venue 101 event, while Tokui and Yano were at the Inazuma Rock Fest. No Akarin this year, and honestly I doubt we will see much of her with the franchise again as she just gets more and more popular each year. Then with Sashide technically having her live debut at the big fan meet tour titled Twinkle Circle. Being 5 two-day shows from August to December, her and Maeda being at the very recent Fukuoka show, and then Yano was back at the very first show in Hakodate. Another series with many LoveLive ladies is the Pretty series, consisting of Prepara, Prechen, Premagi, and Ipri. This year's big event was a huge collaboration of all those series, having Tokui, Ida, Shika, Uchi, Kubota, Sagara, and Hayashi, honestly just missing Sashide. Then this year's big Onsen radio event had Aina Suzuki, Koko, Maeda, and Nako all representing their respective radio shows on the station. Next up, we have Tokui, Komiya, Takatsuki, and Koizumi with their agency's group Mixed Juice, all being guests at Any Rave Fever. Then the recent Miyako Premium Live had Nako, Peichan, and Hinaki. In the summer, there was something called the Seiyu Joshi event, having Emi, 3P, and Kyan. Then a few weeks later was another one with Emi again, Soromaru, and the Iris ladies. Hell yeah. I like those 5 girls. I like them a lot. Kaori, Aguri, and Kyan were all at an event for the Shibuya Theater called Green in Spring. There was a big drama reading called Nekotan that had many people in it. All of the LoveLive girls include Yurika Kubo, Nanaka Sua, Chiemi Tanaka, Mayu Sagara, Sayori Date, Nozomi Suzuhara, and Chihaya Yoshitake. Then the Segura Halloween event had Asua, Footy, and Asakakura. Segura is the Seiyu Grand Prix, by the way. If you hear me say either or throughout all of these videos, it's the same event, just said more Japanese like Bang Dream and Bandori. Just got a few more small things here. The anime Quality Insurance in Another World has Hinaki, Chiemi, and Natsumi as the cast. while Liu does the opening and Nacheri does the ending. I'll mention all this again in their sections, but I just wanted to mention it all together here so you can see just how much LoveLive was in one really trash show. Sorry if you like that show. Anyway, Rikeko and Sayuri also had a little crossover with their livestream shows. Then we had another wave of the Joyu project, a cool warrior woman photo shoot. This 2024 version having Moika Koizumi, Aika Kobayashi, Ai Furihata, and Sayuri Date. If that wasn't already cool enough, they recently announced the 2025 version, which will sadly be the finale. But this one has the most LoveLive girls yet, those being Arisa Komiya, Nanaka Suwa, Aya Omori, Konosukine, and Kaori Maeda. Before I talk about the ladies themselves, just two more quick disclaimers. A vast majority of these girls have weekly or monthly radio programs or Nico streams, some even having both, or multiples of each, and for the most part these are still ongoing. One of them did end, but I'll get there when we get to that respective part, and I will try my best to remember to mention for each of the individual girls, but if I forget one, just assume it's still ongoing. Also safe to assume if a lady had a big single release that there was also a music video on their YouTube channel. A fair amount of these ladies actually post videos and live streams to their channels. Simply searching their names should help you find their content, or you can use Google or their Twitter pages. Now on to these pretty girls, starting with Muse and specifically Hana Kasuda, who got herself a new game role in a Chain Chronicle, and she had a birthday event as well as a rock festival event in October. That's it though, as always not too much from her. Aya Uchida had her spring live in April, the first half being Acoustic Day, and the second one being Sweet Pop Night. She also had her Symphonic Live in September. There was a Character Song Live, which is her as her characters from various shows, and a Guma-chan Live. Then she was a guest at Otakon over in Washington, D.C., as well as the big Seiyu Grand Prix Fest, her being on day 2. Like the last lady, she also had a role in the Chain Chronicle game and a live show for the franchise as well, also being in the games Memento Mori, as well as Dragon's Dogma 2, and a stage play for Gensho Ranpo 3. She had her very first digital-only single, With Me, labeled as a dance number, and a counter title to With You from her second album. Then she had another digital single titled Rabbit's Petite 4. I'm just showing you her pretty face here instead of the albums because they were just random art designs. And in my opinion, her face is more appealing to see, and that's why I'm also prolonging the sentence so you can see more of her. She also had her 8th single Lovely Hearts, or Explosive Hearts, either works I guess. It will be the ending theme for the Red Ranger becomes an adventurer in another world, a Super Sentai Isekai that will begin airing in late January, though she doesn't seem to have a role in this series. But her new roles of 2024 include quite a bit, so I'll just show you this and talk about a couple. As you can see, there's a lot of plus-sized elf. That show itself actually having a lot of LoveLive girls in it. She's also part of the new cast for Demon Lord Retry, and movies for Star Blazers and Give It All. That second movie actually having an insane cast. Moving on to Aminita, she had a new stage called Mianeo, was in the live-action tokusatsu series known as Lion Girl, also a live-action Winnie the Pooh show, more like a stage play I guess, and she was also part of the Triangle Harmony event. As for music, she had a re-debut live titled Smile Smile Restart, and then she did some modeling for the Kitsan company. File-sama honestly only had the LoveLive events, and any of the other things she did were like super specific to smaller streams and such. Sora Tokui actually got married. Now one first year, one second year, and one third year from Muse are all married. She had an Arknights live stage, was part of the VCAT virtual market again, just like last year. She had a fun broadcast with the Niji girls. She traveled over to America for Anime Central. There was also a Yate Kudo event with fellow Muse member Shika, and she was a guest over at AniRave. Anime include a new season of Banished from the Heroes Party, being in plus-sized elf, Nier Automata, Himitsu no Aipri, and the Journey Through Another World show with Aina Suzuki and her little sister. Then at the top here are 2 shows that she's already confirmed for in 2025. I don't know anything about them, so I'm just not going to comment on them. Then of course there were lots of live streams on her YouTube channel, even appearing on a video with Sally Amaki over on her channel. Suzuko Momori has been pretty active on her YouTube channel. She was part of the Pretty Cure 20th Anniversary Live, and she also had her own live event in Shanghai. She was only on day 2 of the LoveLive document, but she also had her own solo Billboard Live in April, and then a birthday live. Also just in general celebrating her birthday with 2 other Hibiki cuties. She moved over to America in the summer, specifically Florida, to be with her husband. A scary but seemingly really fun experience for her. Speaking of fun but scary experience, she also gave birth to her second baby boy. Her anime includes this stuff here, nothing too big. New season of Data Live is cool I guess. Also being in that Give It All movie with Uchi, and next year she will have a new season of the 100 Girlfriends show, as well as new Grisaya. Rihoida had Sora and Emmy as guests on her YouTube. She also did an audio drama in collaboration with Audible Amazon for Marvel's Wolverine character, where she played the role of Jean Grey. Her only new anime role was Irma in Dahlia in Bloom. She was a special guest over at Maya Sagaras' first solo live, and she had a Kirito Pre-Chan event in April, this one being separate from the big show that I mentioned earlier with everyone. But Niji's Coco-chan was also here as well. She was also a guest at the special VTuber live show called VCafe, and then lots of radio on Tokyo FM station. And here's her alongside the rest of the Joshin cast practicing for Anisama, though as I said earlier, she actually had to miss out on the show itself. And last for her, a couple years ago she got married, just in case you don't already know, but this year, very recently, she announced her pregnancy. Shoutouts to her and that lucky motherfucker. Yoshino Nanjo, just to quickly mention, last year, right around Christmas, she had her 10th anniversary live, which is a big milestone, and was very late last year, so I figured I'd re-mention it now. As for this year, she had a Flipside concert at the beginning of the year, though she did leave the group in 2022. This was a special event having old past members, including Nanjo. She was actually even featured in a new song from the group later in the year, and then being with the new girls and the man himself at the special Certain Scientific Railgun Live. Other music includes, well, just one track, Hikari o Toriru, which I assume is digital only because it has no proper cover, so here's her pretty face. When it comes to anime, surprisingly not too much, being in the remake of Bartender, the Mission Yozakura show, and the recent silly show, A Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School. 2025, she will have more Grisaya with Momori and some kind of magical girl show. She was also a guest for a Square Enix live event called The Primals, but she also had her own tour this year named after her recent album, The Fantastic Garden. And lastly for her, being part of Double Shadow, a drama reading with an amazing cast. Last up, the extremely beautiful Yurika Kubo, who has somehow become my favorite member of Muse over the last year or so. She went to see the High Card stage play and to take a picture with the girl who portrays the character that Shiko plays in the anime. She did some modeling for the Congo Fashion Company, and she had a new photo book called Eureka, the English word that sounds like her name, Yurika. This was shot in Korea, by the way, being her first new book in 5 years, and of course, she's still slaying. Her alongside Tokui and Ida were guests on Asami Imai's Nico Nico program, she herself being at the Bunny Girl Senpai Fest with the rest of the cast. And she was also a guest at the Peace Live, and of course a birthday live. Look how pretty she is. Oh, and her Sunshiko Nico program with Emmy was still ongoing. Here's them celebrating Emmy's birthday, but actually they had their last broadcast about a week ago. So next year we will not be blessed by the amazing duo anymore. Also, just to reiterate from the group portion, she debuted into the Pretty series this year, specifically with the newer series, Himitsu no Aipri, being yet another LoveLive girl to perform here. As for anime, a lot, like more than anyone else in Muse, and probably more than anyone else in the franchise, aside from maybe Akarin. I wrote in the script here that I didn't know because I hadn't gotten to her yet, but now that I have gotten to her, no, not even close. Akari is insane. But for the pretty dear lady, she had all of this. The big stuff being in a new season for Classroom of the Elite, funny enough being in there with Akarin, and then being in 2.5 Dimensional Seduction with Maeda and, again, Akarin. There's the pretty series show I mentioned a minute ago, Himitsu no Aipri as Sumagi. Then here's a few more, a new season of Danmachi, and at the top will be the new things for 2025. The very top one in particular is going to be a very degenerate ecchi series, so look out for that in April if you're into underwear. Now moving on to Aqua with Ai Furihata, her new single Hohoemi no Oto with the music video for it and her writing the lyrics too. She got a role in the mobile game For Whom the Alchemist Exists, being in the anime's Astrono, where her new single was the opening theme, and Girls Band Cry, where she did not sing the opening. Next year, she will be in the Project Sakai movie. She had a drama reading for Rodo Kugeki, that's what the website says at least, though I feel I translated wrong. And I usually mention how the girls travel around Asia or America, or even coming here to Canada, but this year Furi actually went over to Spain for Japan weekend. That's pretty hype, and this was actually as a solo act, which was different from the time that she went there with Aqua in the same year. But also she went over to America, specifically LA, for Anime Expo, representing Project Sakai with Mayu Yoshioka. The two also having a different after-talk event with the series, and Furi doing some broadcasts as well, with other members aside from Mayu. Outside of her Idol series, Furi was at the Kimchi Kura Fest Volume 3 and the Toshima Beer Fest, which I'm sure she enjoyed a lot. Then also aside from the LoveLive baseball event, she had her own solo event where she threw the first pitch, as you do. Also look at that determination on her face. I love it. And then her Because of You weekly radio program on Bay FM is still ongoing. On to Aika Kobayashi, who had a reading drama for something called Chronos. Shoutouts to the Greek god of time. Then another drama series called Blessing Volume 2 Colorful. And like Uchi, she was in the stage play for Gensho Ranpo 3. She released a video diary of sorts with a mini photo book included called Trip in Osaka. She had a fashion collab with Days Tokyo, and then her own fashion company Yip Yip released some new clothing. She was featured in My Girl Magazine Volume 40, looking phenomenal. Was a guest over at NakaCon in Kansas in good old America, Animathon Music Fest in Canada, and a Kimchi Kura event in Korea. As a solo act, she had a live tour titled Illumination Collection, the same as the album that she released this year. And lastly for her, she celebrated her 6th anniversary of her fan club with a live stream dressed as a Gyaru. Aina Suzuki was in the Seiyu Grand Prix magazine multiple times throughout the year. Here's her with some cute animals. She became part of the game Lost Memories, as well as the game version for Assault Lily. She was a guest performer at a concert for the band Sable Hills, also being at Nagano Aniera and the Winter Chojigen show. Then she had her own solo show, a Zep show in Osaka, to celebrate her single Apocalypse Day, which did come out late last year. But this year she had the EP Hate no Naitabi, the title track being the opening for the Weakest Tamer anime, and she also had her first mini-album Initium, the same name being the title of a live tour that she had this year as well. And now here's her anime for the year. Her being what I consider one of the Aqua Big 3, this is not very surprising to me. Some stuff to point out would be leads in the Weakest Tamer show, and Journey Through Another World, co-starring with her sister Miharu. She's also the new voice of Luna in Demon Lord Retry, taking over for Kaori Ishihara. I'm not entirely sure why though, most of the cast was replaced, and I think it's because of a new studio or something. Kind of an odd choice, but it is nice to hear her in more anime. She also promoted the show at Anime Japan with Momo Asakura, another new cast member. Next year, she will be in the anime Until the Witch Dies, again with her sister. On to Anju and Ami. She had a new stage play for World Trigger. Looks like it's the same cast from the old one, but this seems to have a new story, so it is probably a sequel. And there was another new stage play called Go Back to Goondocks. A very odd name and probably was mistranslated. And there was also a reading drama for Captain Whitebone. If that captain is not a skeleton, I will be severely disappointed. An-chan had a new Tokyo 7 Sisters Live, an anniversary live for Heaven Burns Red, and also an anniversary live for her agency, Sony Music Arts, the 50th anniversary. Insane. As for her own show, a handful actually, having a tour in the first half of the year titled Killer Mirror Gig. Then she had another show very recently on Christmas. New music for her includes second single NPNL, or No Pain No Love, a personal favorite of mine, and her third single, Letter. Just a reminder that these are on her new label Cue Me Disque, which she actually founded, and I think that is really cool. Actually, there is a different, very well-respected Seiyu who actually founded their own whole talent agency this year. But more on that in the Bang Dream Girls video. With Anju, the last thing to mention would be her role in Like a Dragon Infinite Wells. Next up, we have Arisa Komiya, who had a live with Denonbu for their Ultra Expo event. She was a guest DJ at the Esports Festa, as well as the Kimchi Kura and Annie Rave collab, as well as another Annie Rave event later in the year. Her alongside Nichika Omori were guests at a Yatekuru event, I assume for Denonbu, and like many others, she had a birthday live along with a lot of fan meets. Her only new non-LoveLive anime role was being in the Star Blazers movie. Next year, she'll be in the Super Sentai Isekai show, which is really cool because she herself used to be a ranger. In live action, she was the yellow one, but in this anime, she will be Sentai Pink. Kanako Takatsuki, very early on, was a guest on Yuki Nakashima and Aina Aiba's Gaming Nico program, also having a gaming event with Maeda over on A&G Radio. Her saga stage play continued for a few shows, and I'm glad I wait till the very end of the year for these because just a few days ago, Kanako actually announced her marriage. She didn't share any extra details though, but I have seen some people speculate it's someone she actually met at her stage play. Now we have Nana Kasua, who had a drama reading with Chiemi called Hana Shigure, and also a big fan meet pretty early on in the year. Not long after this was her collab live with Aguri Onishi. Very fitting, as I feel these two fill the same role within their respective groups, the tall, thin, chill cutie. There's also her being a guest on the 1-to-1 radio with Pretty Derby's Minami Shinoda, who I highly recommend you follow. She is very beautiful and a very good dancer. Then just some live event with her very good friend and one of my personal favorite people, Moi Toyota. Even spending Christmas with her and Ishitobi, who is another one of her good friends. She had her new single, World of Words, but also Hanakotoba and Suranate all having the same cover and all being on her new album, Ashiato ga Sumugu. And last for her was her 5th solo live. Rika Kawaida had her 2nd photo book, Hibi, and it's a good one, we'll just keep it at that. She had a drama reading for a almost 90-year-old story known as The Fiend with 20 Faces. Also one that seemed to be called Staging. And Liar Game Murder Mystery. A lot of girls have done this one over the last few years. Then there was a stage play for Kageki Shoujo with her kohai, Nagisa. This is actually a sequel to last year's show, but Aida wasn't in that one. She was a guest over at Chojigen in the summer, Anime Japan, as well as her agency Ken Pro having a fest. And of course, the birthday live. During this birthday event, she revealed her VTuber debut and the fact that she got her license. With this VTuber debut, it meant that we got her live streaming to her YouTube channel. Miss Aida went to see Alien Romulus, and she's actually a fan of the whole franchise, which I find kind of surprising. I figured she'd be scared of that stuff. What's also surprising is that she only had one new role. Her being another one of the Aqua Big 3, I thought that she would have more new characters. This character was in Nare Cheer For You, by the way, which sounds like a Nijigasaki song to me. Keeping with this, she also only had one new track, My Method. And naturally, her A&G Radio is still ongoing. Next year, she's already got a live show lined up for May and a new album titled Soshoku, coming out in March. Shuka Saito had a tour from April to July, having 17 shows. That's a lot. This woman does love to perform. But aside from that, she had other shows, lives in Shanghai and Chengdu, and a fan meet in Seoul, and her own 5th anniversary live, then being a guest at AFA Indonesia as well as Nagano and Liella. She had her new album 555 to celebrate her 5th year as a solo artist, 2 of these tracks having music videos. Also just posting a few live song versions to her channel as well. She makes really good, fun, happy, energetic music, by the way, if for some reason you haven't already checked it out. She also had a role in the game Last Memories, which actually might have come out in late 2023, but yeah, new enough. And then with anime, nothing new. Her being the final one of the Aqua Big 3 has me very shocked. But like I said a minute ago, she did perform a lot and travel a lot this year. And she went on a little date to Disney Sea with Buddy. Her Shuka Radio is still going strong, and it wouldn't be her without showing off her belly a little bit. Next year, she will be at an 802 Palette event and having another show in Korea very early on. So next up real quick, the Saint Snow duo, Asami Tano, had a stage play or a reading called Le Petit Prince Kimi to Boku. And she did some modeling for Wedding Ainaka. Again, not too much going on this year. Shame there's still no new Zombieland Saga stuff. But it was beyond amazing to see her and Hinata perform as Saint Snow again. Honestly, most of her year was just a whole bunch of radio stuff. However, there was her first new voice role in a long time, even if it was just in a PV. That PV being for Genshin Impact, also revealing that next year when the character comes out, she will be in the game. Good for her. Alright, Hinata Sato, a lady that's in both Bushiroad and LoveLive, so if you watch both recaps, you'll be hearing a lot of the same stuff. In this one, I will obviously exclude the LoveLive stuff, so with Revue Starlight, she had the Sports Day Festival, her team winning because they were goated. She also had the new Romeo and Juliet inspired stage play, as well as being at the Peas Live with the other main ladies of Starlight Kukugumi. With D4 DJ, she was with Photon Maiden at the D4 Fest Crossbeat, having the new single Friendship, a joint song with other unit Rondo, and a song called Spark of Photon made by a DJ who used their voice sampling in the track. With Pretty Derby, well, they didn't have any lives, just festival appearances and a fan meet, which Ichan was not a part of, but she did have some live streams with them. And over with Project Sakai, she only really had an event in September. Outside of her franchises, she had a ghost story drama reading with a bunch of other pretty ladies. She had her own Seiyu fan meet in Korea. That's a Seiyu, by the way, the 2 English words, not the Japanese word for voice actor. A very fun pun on their part. She went to see a dialogue show for their 5th anniversary tour, also saying how much she loves their member Satsuki. Then just some smaller theater stuff, no IPs we would really know, and she continued her gym journey, always giving me inspiration to go out there for a run. Then quickly just to reiterate, she was part of her agency's big Muse Fest. Her only new role was in The Descent of a Goddess, and next year she will be in the Project Sakai movie. Next up is the Nijigasaki School Idol Club. And before I get to the girls individually, I just have a few things to say. Group-related things, I mean. Literally half of them hung out together at Ghibli Park, and it looks like they all had a lot of fun. In the first half of the year, all 3 members that are on the Seiyuu Esports channel competed in various gaming events. Funny enough, it was a different Nichi girl on each team. And then to cover the duo Nacheri, which was a unit formed in 2021 consisting of Nachan and Chemi. In the summer, they had their third live tour, Jump In, having 3 shows. They had their second hard copy single, My Dream Girls, as well as the third, Loop. Loop, as I said earlier, was the ending theme from Quality Assurance in Another World. My Dream Girls being the opening for Gushing Over Magical Girls. They had a Yatekuru event, and they were also at the Toshima Beer Fest, which I'm sure both of them were very pumped for. Now we have Aguri Onishi, who had 2 new singles, I My Girl, the ending for Sasaki and Peeps, as well as Off Talked, the opening for Spirit Chronicles Season 2. She herself was a guest at a Yatekuru event, although it was not the same one that Komiya was at, also being a guest for one of the streams of Naomi Payton's Nico program. Her new roles include being in Dungeon People, Loner Life in Another World, the Osan Newbie Adventurer, and Seirei Gensoki Spirit Chronicles Season 2. She was featured in the My Girl magazine Volume 39, as well as Love Voice magazine in November. She had the collab live with her senpai Nanakasua, as well as her own second solo live. Like with most girls, she has an ongoing streaming program, hers in particular being Agunan with Kanan Takao. They had many broadcasts as well as joint events with other ladies who also have shows. Also shoutouts to the TV Yoasobi episode where she was on with Seriko and Sumipi, also being on an episode of Any-san Days where Maeda hosts. Last up for her is her Seiyu unit SPR5 or Supreme 5 having their final live in the summer, and thus disbanding the group. Shoutouts to Hina Suguta. Next we have Akari Kito, who grew. She is now 154 centimeters, still really tiny. She had a Demon Slayer event over in Singapore, posting about having a really good time, and about a month later, a different Demon Slayer event where she met Abby Trott, the English voice of Nezuko. Also having some Gridman events. Shoutouts to Ueda. There were other anime and game events too, but I just wanted to mention these 2 more popular ones. As a special guest, she was quite busy, being at the Chojugin Music Festival, a Pony Canyon record show, AGF Korea, being at Anime Expo in America with Rumi Okubo and former Niji lady Tamori Kusunoki, and then a live show for Restage. She had her own fan club live event with a wicked outfit, looks really comfy too, and then her 5th anniversary live show, having 4 different shows. She was featured in a few different issues of Seiyu Grand Prix magazine throughout the year, had her own new photo book, Akari no Mama, at least that's how it was translated. Great title if true. And then here is Akarin with Shu's new dog. Akari's new music includes her 6th single, Dream Thread, and the EP, Give Me 5, a personal favorite of mine for the year. There was also her track Yume no Ito being the opening for Chain Soldier. Her 7th single, With a Wish, will be late February, and she's got another untitled track ready for May 1st of 2025. So I saved anime for last with her. In Shika's section, I said Akari is probably the only person with more roles than her this year, and boy was I right. A rough count gave me 26 credits for 2024, though some of those are the same series, and some are LoveLive of course. But still, let's talk about some of the more popular ones, or where she has leads, being in Delicious in Dungeon, Chained Soldier, Mission Yozakura Family, God's Game We Play, and 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, with new seasons of Classroom of the Elite, Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy, The Cafe Terrace, Hanako-kun, and Demon Slayer, and she's already got these 5 things lined up for next year. Akina Homoto got a new role of Ali in a werewolf fighting RPG game, and to believe it is called Silent Sign Shadowhunters. And like Ida, she was in the reading drama for The Fiend with the 20 Faces, though it was on different days. And of course I have to mention how she found herself in a little bit of trouble when an old video of a girl who looks a lot like her, well, most likely is her, was filmed doing sexual activities, and honestly that's being generous. The video is really nothing at all, nothing like Aminita's potential video, but of course some people had to make a big deal out of it and act like she's the devil or something. When in reality, every single girl I've talked about or will talk about in this video or any video of mine has done the same thing. Akina's was just recorded, so of course it makes her a terrible person. Anyway, I won't start a rant, I just had to bring it up because it was a hot topic for a bit in the community. Moving on to Chiami Tanaka, who had a reading drama as Jinar in His Majesty Zafira in the black and the white. Once again, probably some weird translation error there, but yeah, she was also part of a Listen Library event, which I'm pretty sure is basically just another reading drama. She joined Assault Lily in their game Last Bullet as Nosai Kitsuna, even having some live streams with the next lady I'll be covering. Before that though, speaking of that franchise, her and Amane Shindo, who was also a Lily, were 2 guests on an episode of Annie-song One Phase, where you just sing a line from an Annie song and try to impress everyone with your vocals. And then here is her drawing of Rina, her first time drawing digitally. The last thing for her is anime, only having one new role in Quality Assurance in Another World, along with another lady I'll be talking about very soon. Up next is Koko Hayashi, who is another lady in both Bushiroad and LoveLive, so if you watch both recaps, you may hear a lot of the same stuff. For this video though, her Bang Dream group My Go had a 4-show Zep tour, the joint live with Pop and Party, then their 6th and 7th lives. Also being at Anisama, Coco being in the live stream with Hina Aoki to reveal all the performers at the fest. Coco with these ladies were also at Lisani, Rockin' Japan Fest, and Japan Jam. Then when it comes to music, they had about 10 new tracks and 5 or so new covers. The group also had an animated movie recap of their main series, and next year she will be in the new season of Bang Dream focused on Ave Mujika, who will be serving as the rivals to her group. Other anime include a new season of MF Ghost, which is a new Initial D series by the way, and then being in Villainous Level 99. She was part of the big A&G Radio event that I mentioned earlier, and then over with the Pretty series, aside from the group live in the fall, she had another live in April focused on Prepara specifically, and then one in July focused on Kirato Prichan. Coco also joined a new franchise called Voice and Stories, becoming part of a group known as Peekaboo, performing as Yoko Hachiken, and they released their debut single Count 9. She also joined Assault Lily as a live performer as Kisei Nagasaka, having a handful of stage plays throughout the year. If all that wasn't enough, she also joined another project known as Project Aile. Aile? L-I-A-I-L-E? Who knows? Anyway, she also had a birthday live, I think this one being her first. And there was a stage play called The Moon, Laugh at the Queen. These translations are really killing me, but that's what the official website translated to, so bear with me. She had a little sports event with other Seiyu, not sure of the exact details though. Also seems like her team lost, but shoutouts to Shio Kisui. To end off her section, she released her very first photo book, Kokoichiban, and then she also showed a picture of her as a very, very young little cutie. Early next year, she will have a new stage play called Yumekake. Now we have Hinaki Yano over with Pretty Derby, as I mentioned in the opening section, being on all 4 days of the final 2 legs of their 5th tour. 1 day for the big fan meet tour and some other shows like Animax Fall, Chochigen, and Inazuma Rockfest, but then just some other streams and promotions throughout the year. She was part of Assault Lily's Lily Scramble play, as well as another one titled Snowdrop, having like 3 or more shows in the year. Her group Aleles had their first live, that group being associated with Kizuna Ai, by the way, one of the original VTubers. She was at the Aniplex Online Fest and KPF for the new animes that she was in, being part of her agency's 50th anniversary live, and sticking with the agency that also serves as her label. She, Naomi Payton, and Mikiha had a little show together, and she attended one of the lives for her senpai Shuka Saito, also being at one of the shows for Bocchi the Rock stage. She was on the cover for My Girl Magazine Volume 38, and there were a few fan meets for her fan club, Hinatune. And then her monthly gaming live stream, Game the Hina Land, is still ongoing and can be found on the YouDeal Live YouTube channel. She had her 3rd solo live, Poyo Pono Party, named after her 3rd single, Poyo Ponopo. She also had another live show later in the year, and an EP titled Kimi to Ita Natsuo. Her animes include leads in Quality Assurance in Another World, as well as a salad bowl of eccentrics. Great title. Then she had a supporting role in The Elusive Samurai, which has a pretty high rating. Might have to check that one out. Next year, she will have all of these new anime, and she will also be at the 802 Palette Live. Kaori Maeda had a big year for such a small lady, but actually speaking of that, she is 1 centimeter taller, now being 147. That's centimeters, by the way, still being one of the smallest in the industry. But she also had her 2nd photo book, The Scent of Love. She's low-key trying to give Akarin a run for her money with a new PUB and even with her new roles, having some pretty big ones in Gushing Over Magical Girls, The Healer Who Was Banished from His Party, Don Da Don, 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, and Plus Sized Elf, also debuting into the Slime anime. Her new music includes the digital track You Main Girl and the EP Grab the World, having the song Unconventional Human, which has a great music video going with it and a personal favorite of mine throughout the year. This also being the ending theme for the new Sekimichi season. She did narration for the University of Kitakyushu, which is her home city by the way, and she had a new role in the PV for Pokemon Home. She co-hosted the weekly BS11 anime talk show, sometimes with Aiferuz, who Maeda absolutely loves spending time with. Shoutouts to the Harumoe episode by the way. Like Hinaki, Kaori was also on one of the covers from My Girl Volume 38, being featured in Volume 41 as well. Like the last few ladies, Kaori is also in Assault Lily, at the Lily's Dream event with a bunch of other familiar, beautiful faces. And then she held her first fan meet along with a mini live to promote the upcoming EP that released. But she also emceed for the Princess Connect playback event on day 2. The dance troupe, Real Akiba Boys, visited her agency and spent some time with her, Miyu, and Waipi. She was also a guest at Anime Japan to promote her show 2.5 Dimensional Seduction and being a performer of the Anisama in Abema event. Hopefully this means we get her at the proper Anisama show next year. She dubbed the character of Teresa in The Evil Dead Rising on Netflix, and her weekly program with Yoshino Aoyama is still going strong, along with her radio with Tomitan, as well as her solo Nico stream. She even did some kickboxing lessons, and there was a YouTube video showing it off. And lastly, she was part of this cool photo shoot where Seiyu dress up like street girls, or just kind of delinquents. Seriko from Iris was in this too, and they both look great. As for 2025, she's got these 4 anime lined up. That second one from the top there, where she will be voicing Minami. She will actually be doing the ending theme titled Kyunapi, which I assume will be on her new EP coming out in March, titled I'm Ready. Maria Sashide mostly only really had the group things I mentioned earlier in the video, like her first ever live stream with Pretty Derby, and not too long after having her first live event, and that being the big fan meet, and the big Pretty Series crossover show, but actually also being part of July's Pre-Chan show. She had a few promotional events for the new anime that she was in, and aside from all this, just her weekly A&G Radio program, of which she actually won an award for in the past, by the way, for having a very comforting feel to it. I guess there was also this Segura event where a few Seiyu dressed up as train conductors. Her 3 new anime roles include debuting into Yoru Camp, being in A Journey Through Another World, and then in Loner Life in Another World. 2 isekais. Great. Mayu Sagara left her agency Digital Double, only had 1 new anime role in A Nobody's Way Up to an Exploration Hero. She had Sora on as a guest for her birthday event. Fans in New York actually posted an ad in Times Square for her new album and for her birthday. And then her first ever solo concert called First Step. Perfect name. Good for her. Then way later in the year she had a mini Christmas live, as well as being a guest at Nagano Aniera, as well as being at an Anime Kyoto event, and she did some work with Mihawk Theater. She had quite a bit of new music, 4 singles in fact, Mukuwara Naya, Hoshizora Wonder, Anata E no Iris, and Secret Girls Party. All 4 being on her EP Suyogari, along with a new track as well. Now, I just want to mention that it started in late 2023. I'm going to mention it now because it was a monthly live stream with Idol Masters Mayu Mineda, which is cool because they have the same first name, and Mineda is one of the cutest girls that I have ever seen in my life. Sagara also has her Fun Fan Factory stream on OpenRec, her Mayuchi game on Nico Nico, or the AmiAmi YouTube channel, and her stuff with Seiyuu Esports. She even joined Hinaki for one of her game streams. Her Pride of Orange Seiyu unit Smile Princess had their 3rd live show and a new single titled Move On Baby, also voicing a character named Kirara on the far left in a franchise called Project Cold, which is actually a pretty cool YouTube death game for all the Danganronpa lovers out there. If I remember, I'll leave a link down below. But if not, you can type in Altair Carnival on YouTube and you should be able to find it. They even did live mocaps for the streams, though I guess actually it could have been pre-recorded. Anyway, she was featured in the Love Voice magazine of Volume 1, had a drama reading for Orewa Rakugo, and a Liar Game murder mystery. Lastly for her, Mayu and Akari attended a Iris Live, Mayu being a big Iris fan, and Iris being the unit that the next lady belongs to, by the way, Miyu Kubota, who had appendicitis in February and had to take a week off. Luckily it wasn't too serious and she didn't need surgery. Her group Iris had a full mini live at Anime Japan to celebrate their movie release. A full mini live. Why does that not sound right to me? That's like contradictory, you know? Anyway, they were also at Anisama as always, but also Animax Spring Show doing a cover of Yoasobi's Idol. Miyu also promoted the movie at an event in Thailand, and she was with some of them at Idolfest. Their 9th tour had 8 shows from April till August, and finally, they had their 12th anniversary live. Music includes 2 new singles, White Lyrical Kingdom and I For You, the lead track for their movie, having music videos for both of these tracks. They also had a massive album titled Best Coupling Tracks, which, as the title implies, has all of their coupling tracks throughout the years. Her anime includes being in Plus Sized Elf, Let This Grieving Soul Retire, and the Iris Full Energy movie, playing none other than Miyu Kubota. Not many Seiyu have had the honor of voicing themselves in anime. Like with Coco, aside from the big Pretty Series crossover show, she was also at the April Prepara and July Pre-Chan shows. She was a guest at the VCAT Market event, just like last year, with some familiar faces. Had an event for Onsen Musume, did some promotional events for the anime that she was in. Here's another familiar face with her. Her radio program with the other delicious Miyu, that being Miyazaki, on NAC 5. Shoutouts to the Angry Rabbit mascot thing. There's also Nice to Meet You and her streams on her personal YouTube channel and being on rotation to co-host the Iris Radio. Oh, also the official Sonic YouTube channel. Her alongside Natsumi had a few videos of them playing Sonic games. Like Maria, she had a fun dress-up event for Segura, but hers had the girls dressing up as flight attendants. Also, Chami was there. Nako too. On a sad note, to open her section with her getting sick and to end it with her also getting sick, she had to miss all of her weekly events towards the end of December due to getting the flu, which was actually going around pretty badly around that time. In 25, just at the end of January, on her birthday, will be her third photo book, Femme Fatale, which she named herself. And yeah, you already know, I don't need to say it. She'll also have a fan meeting in Korea, and Iris will have their 10th live tour from May to July. Now we have Moika Koizumi, who is yet another person who performs everywhere. And even though this video is coming out first, there's a chance you're watching this later and you've already seen the D4DJ recap. If so, just know that you may be hearing a lot of repeat things. If you want to skip it in general, then I suggest fast forwarding about 2 minutes. And if you're sticking around for this one, just know I won't cover the LoveLive stuff as I already went over that in the last video. So, Moika Koizumi, lots of Harumoi stuff, which is her duo unit with Haruki Iwata. Being at Chojigen in the summer, they had a Seiyu fan meet, both being in the Kongming stage play, and they also had a new photo book together. They had their third live tour, I'm Here, with 2 eyes, and then some smaller shows that they had labeled as Canvas Sessions, and they were also at a fest known as Gram and Groove. They had the new single Fuo Fuo Party, the ending for Fluffy Paradise, and also the album Rady, having Hyper Love Song, one of my personal favorites for the whole year. Definitely check out the music video. In just a few days, or maybe even a few days ago, depending on when I can get this out, their 7th single, Twinkle Days, will come out. I absolutely love this cover, and also in 2025 they will be at the Peace Live, and the year will serve as their 5th anniversary. 5 years of slaying. Nice. There's also the Kuma Mama monthly stream, having many new episodes throughout the year, and even having Momoyo Koyama as a substitute a few times. Next is her agency unit Mixed Juice, having a new single titled Hello World. And then she joined yet another unit known as Parabola, being part of the music project known as Utagoe ha Mille Fleurs. Her character is Mizuki Fujishiro, and the rest of the unit has Asaka, Yoshino Aoyama, Naotayama, and Kyozo. Actual insane lineup, and they had their debut EP Brain Hack. It's a banger, also coming with a music video. Her D4DJ group Piki Piki were at the Kimchi Kura Fest Volume 3, having their Piki Force tour, 2 performances on each day in Osaka, Nagoya, and Saitama. They were also one of the groups to be on both days of the new D4 Fest Crossbeat. They had a new single Piki Force, another one of my personal favorites for the year, actually being my #1 track of the whole year. There was also a remix track called Rave into Piki Vibes, made by a DJ and just sampling their voices. Then their second album, Triumphal. She even did a cover of Onagai Muscle with some other ladies in the franchise, and a full joint song with her group and Abyssmare. The D4DJ YouTube channel had the Piki Piki weekly radio show, though it was voice only, so we don't get to see their pretty faces. But they did always take pictures of the recording. And last up for this group, the other members, including Wipey, went to visit their leader AmiAmi for one of her solo shows. Over in Revue Starlight, there was a big sports day fest with Wipey being on the red team. There was the new musical called Wartime of Goodbyes, basically being a take on Romeo and Juliet. She also performed with the main group Starlight Kukugumi at the Peace Live. Early next year will be the Starry Ocean Star Live with all the ladies. Now outside of her ongoing franchises, the dance troupe Real Akiba Boys visited her agency and spent some time with her, Miyu, and Kaudin. She was part of an event called Classic Movie Reading Volume 3. Not sure of the details, but she does look very pretty as always. She had a Toa Sugai concert and a stage play for your boy Kongming, looking so cool. Really wish I could have seen that. Also playing opposite to Haruki is just perfect. And I'm realizing I already said this in the Harumoi section, but whatever. Saying it again and showing you more pictures of them. Then on a somber note, her Moipina radio show with Hinata Sato ended after just under 100 episodes. But her own Moi note is still ongoing on Nico Nico. Her anime roles include being in Fluffy Paradise and a new season of Nier Automata. Last up, she had a Young Jump photo book titled Traveling. In the year 2025, she will have a new stage play for the IP Private Detective Maikama, as well as these 3 anime shows. Now we have Natsume Murakami, who looks like she does nothing compared to the last girl, and in general mostly not too much solo stuff as she spends most of her year with Niji or Nacheri. But she did have a small drama reading called Magic Flying Bell, an Onsen Masume event with some former Wake Up Girls, and lots of gaming live streams, some with the Seiyuu Esports channel, and even a new program with Reina Ozawa, as well as those Sonic streams on the official channel that I mentioned a little while ago with Miyutan. She had like 10 or so live streams on her personal channel and her Nico Nico stream, not to mention the big 10-hour live that she did very recently on New Year's Day. Then she had herself a digital-only photo book titled One Break, and just for a little bonus with her, here was her Halloween outfit. The anime she was in were the movie My Oni Girl, funny enough actually has another character named Ai, and then being in the Quality Assurance in Another World show with a few other girls that I have already mentioned. And last up, we have Shu Uchida, who finally got her Somaid named Mooney, also revealing that she got her driver's license, and she had a very adventurous year traveling to Korea and Hokkaido for a dope snowboarding trip. There was also a Kantai Collection live event, her first one in a while actually, then a reading drama called Edogawa Ranpo. When it comes to anime, she got 3 new roles in High Speed Atoll, Mayonaka Punch, and a lead in the Do-Over Damsel. She went to her homeland of Sydney, Australia for Smash Fest, don't think too much about that name, but also to Beijing for IDO ACG Expo, as well as Anime Girls Fest to promote the Do-Over Damsel show that she was in. One of the other shows, High Speed Atoll, also had some small events and some CD releases that she helped to promote. She had some fan club event where she visited a farm, and then shows to her and Coco being on an episode of Phone on Seiyu. Pretty sure her and Chiemi were also on one very recently, like last week. She got to meet up with Yui Horie, who is one of her main inspirations. I find that to be really awesome and wholesome. And of course, just being very active on her YouTube channel, having subtitles in many different languages. She is an absolute role model of pleasing the fans, and I definitely love watching her videos. So I did say she was the last one, but I am going to somewhat cover Tomori Kusunoki as a bonus, just going over her new music, lives, and anime shows. As you can see, lots of anime, some big new name seasons like Sao Gun Gale, which was her first big role, but also some new Demon King Academy, and debuting into Mashal. I'll also point out her lead in Kamiarabi God app, which started last year and apparently isn't very good. And next year she will have these shows. Shoutouts to yet another person in Project Sakai. When it comes to music, she had the EP Shingetsu and the mini album Toro. Also having 2 live albums from her 2 shows from last year, and concerts. From what I saw, she only had a show in the summer titled Tsuki no Michikake, and then a recent birthday live named after her latest album, Toto. Now we are moving on to the 4th out of 5 groups, and I'm assuming we're like 30 plus minutes into the video, so I'm going to try to get through this faster. First up, a quick group thing, Omori, Kuma, Yuina, and Sakura, who are all part of the Star Rise first ever fan live. Star Rise being the label that they all belong to, by the way. Rin Kurusu is also there, leaning on Sakura right in the middle. Akane Yabishima had a fashion collab with LTA, also being featured in Volume 3 of Dragon Age magazine. Don't think there's any connection to the game franchise though. And then her weekly A&G Radio is still ongoing. Aya Omori was also featured in the Dragon Age magazine, a few volumes after Akane-chan. She had her first photo book, Ayafall, and then announced her second photo book, currently untitled, and will be releasing in March of 2025. And buckle up for that one. She had a fan meeting, also a meeting to celebrate her 20th birthday, and she attended a Mrs. Green Apple concert. Hell yeah. Shout out to Fire Force. She had a reading drama titled Dream from a Dream That You Can't Wake Up From, which I think is a wicked title. It sounds like a good movie. Sticking with that, not as cool of a title, but there was another reading called The Most Distant Day From You. She had yet another live fan meet in the summer, and she was a guest for a couple of Yatekuru events. Then the big thing, she had her solo debut, just using her same name, and her first EP is Start Memories, being on the Starrise label with some other ladies I'll be mentioning soon. Also why I specifically said it's her same name, it's because the other 2 use different names now. And then Memorial Cafe is still ongoing. Liu had her second mini-live to celebrate her album, as well as a tour in Japan, but also a show in China, and her birthday live, of course. She was a guest at the Anisama World Shanghai event, Bilibili Macro Link, and was going to be at AFA Singapore but had to cancel due to sickness. She actually had health issues a few times over this year and last. Between her solo stuff and Liella, she is obviously overworked, and I just hope her management realizes this and lets her rest more. Or else we will have another Tamori Kusunoki. But anyway, on a more positive note, she was featured in weekly Young Jump and Voice Vista magazines, and there were some fan meets in her hometown of Shanghai. Her 5th single, No Complete, the opening for Quality Assurance in Another World, then 6th single, Badu Do Do Do, opening for I'll Be a Villainess Who Goes Down in History, where her junior Rin Kurusu does the ending. More on her in a little bit. Still with music though, Liu's 7th single, Dreamly, the lead track actually being in her native language of Chinese. I assume Mandarin specifically. And then finally for her music, her newest album, Soaring Heart. She had a new photo book, digital only, in collaboration with a weekly Playboy magazine titled Memorial Graffiti. And just for a little bonus fact, she went back to dark hair after having blondish hair for the last 2 or so years. Next year, she's already got a birthday event lined up and a 5th anniversary event. And then here's another extra bonus picture of how pretty she is. And another one. Speaking of absolute beauty, Nagisa Aoyama released her first photo book, Nagisa, creative title, having a digital-only book with weekly flash called Sweet Moment, but also a little grab your shoot with Flash magazine as well as Voice Vista, and Makia magazine, and Friday magazine. Considering how beautiful she is with a great figure, she's obviously going to model everywhere, easy money for her and the companies. She was a guest for one of the Yatekuru events in the fall, also a birthday fan meet looking absolutely beautiful. She was in a musical called Liella, had some music videos for Sinduali, which she also had a new season of anime for. Her first live show happened and it was called Kaiho, being on the label Launch Vehicle, odd name. But this obviously means her solo debut with the track Kaiho, a month later having Kimito, both being on her first album that came out last month, also titled Kaiho, or Setting Free in English. There were also 2 music videos for her own music on her newly launched YouTube channel. Then very recently she had her newest track, I Wish Time Could Stop. And then to end off, she had the stage play Kageki Shoujo with her senpai Aida, this being the 2nd year that Nagi has done this stage, although I do believe this is a sequel to the last one. Oh, and her Emo Kyokai Nico stream is still ongoing. Nakumisaki was at Lease Annie, Miyako Premium Live, and Animax Spring. That's pretty hype for someone so early in their solo music career. But also a new show, or at least a festival I've never heard of before, titled 802 Palette. There was also her own acoustic live. She was promoting her music over on NAC 5 Fave 4, also being on Shuka's radio, as well as Maeda's. Speaking of music, her newest EP, Chisana Tsubomi, the title track being the opening for Dahlia in Bloom. Her radio show had a live showing at A&G Radio, having Rookie of the Year Hina Yomiya as a guest. Like some of the other Liella girls, she was at one of the monthly Yatekuru events, though I do believe she was the only LoveLive girl at this one. Then like some of the Nichi girls, she was part of the Segura dress-up event dressed as a flight attendant. However, she herself had another one the following month dressed as a baker. Naomi Payton, like Nako, was a guest at a Miyako Premium Live recently, but she also had her 2nd live show. Her new music includes the EP Cosmonauts and the single Romantic. She was a guest with Mikiha on Hinaki Yano's Game the Hinaland show. Also, all 3 were at some events for their label Sony Music Arts, and even a full-on live. There was a reading drama for some ghost stories, having a lot of talent here, separated throughout the 4 days. And there was a different reading called Human Fantasy. As always, lots of interviews with February magazine, and even some photo shoots with them. She was actually in a few magazines, but only small features, aside from being on the cover of Love Voice magazine for the May issue, which actually seemed to be the very first issue of the magazine. That's exciting. Nozomi Suzuhara had a calendar book as well as a new digital photo book, both with Micro magazine, the digital book being titled Toi et Moi, or You and Me. Early in this year of 2025, she will have her first hard copy photo book. Her Nico Nico program was in full swing this year, having some fun guests on like Minori Suzuki. There was also the Nekotan stage play, having her, Sayuri, and Shika-chan. And then she did some mocapping for the franchise Muse Live, and also promoting it at Anime Japan. Sakura Sakakura actually had a fairly eventful year despite being one of the newest LoveLive girls. At the beginning of the year, she did update her agency profile, and that's cute, and there were also a few fan club events as well. Not sure if it started this year or late last, but she does have her own Nico program now. And then she had a digital-only photo book with Dragon Age magazine titled The Beginning. She had a reading drama with Maholic Theater titled The Angel Left Behind in the Art Room, with some Bushy Road girls. and another reading drama with Otana project titled Primary Education Royale. She attended a Nache Live and just hung out with Jemmy for a few various shows and radio throughout the year. Here's an extra picture of her and the very beautiful Yuina, who also spent a lot of time with her. And finally for her super happy cat. Oh, and next year she will have a calendar book. Sayuri Date, early in the year, her alongside fellow agency and generation member Chihaya were in a live-action horror movie titled Draleko Yokohama. She continued her modeling for the Congo Fashion Company, which she began last year, had a couple more interviews with February magazine, was one of the many ladies in the Nekotan stage reading, and again, as always, she had a new calendar book and also a regular photo book, and there was also a little photo op with My Girl magazine. Finally for her, something big, her solo debut having 3 singles, One Up, Love Song, and Present. Wakana Okuma, as always, has no official Twitter, just one for her Nico show, so it's kind of hard to keep up with her activities. But what I do know is she had a solo live show for her birthday titled Promenade, also being at the Kenpro Rock Fest, which is her agency, and she was there with other agency headliners, Rika Koida and Yuko Natsuyoshi. This festival actually being where Kuma had her solo debut, with a solo project titled Spielben, being on the same label as Lust Queen, who I will be going over in just a few seconds. Real quick before that, Kuma will have a calendar book in 2025. And finally for Liella, we have Yuina, who had her solo debut as the band Lust Queen, where she serves as the lead singer, having a mini live about a month ago, and I'm pretty sure they actually had one earlier in the year as well. I just forgot to write it down. When it comes to the actual music, the 5-song EP simply titled Lust Queen, and then the track So Des, being the ending for episode 2 of Poketune 2024, where she also voiced this chill little guy. She was at an event called Drawn to You with Sai Otsuka, and then something random, she did some promoting for golf equipment and even has a video of her driving a ball. Also being a guest over on Kyon's Nico stream a couple months ago, and also hanging out with Nako and taking some fun photos together. And last up, she had a fan event on Christmas Day. Oh, I guess a little bonus is that she opened up a YouTube channel and was very active on it. And sometime in 2025, she will have another Lust Queen mini live. On to the rival unit Sunny Passion, Chihaya Yoshitake, and her Naganero Any Era event with Pretty Cure, as well as a few various smaller lives for the franchise as well. Also doing the opening for Wonderful Precure the series, as well as the ending for the movie that came out as well. Somehow her Pretty Cure character has still yet to debut in animation, but she did have a new role in the 2nd season of the show Shy. Some other things to include are the Restage Prison Festival, having a feature in the Dragon Age magazine, being in the Nekotan reading, and some stuff with the Otana project, then the horror movie with Sayuri, Draleko Yokohama, actually also with Sayuri and the whole Opalo Bay agency, the White Swan event. Last up for this whole Liella generation, we have Yuna Yuki, who honestly didn't really do anything outside of LoveLive. Nothing she posted about at least, aside from an Otana project event. But here is a nice photo of her. I am weak to foreheads. And now the final group of the video. Damn near an hour later, we've got Hasu no Sora. And as always, I gotta warn everyone that these girls are still very green, especially the 3 newest ladies. Well, aside from one who actually already had a career prior to LoveLive, so I will be getting through this section fairly quick, thankfully. Fuka Hayama was featured in My Girl Volume 40. Hina Sakurai had her radio program with Bang Dreams Kanan Takao. Kana-kan actually had something pretty big, her first photo book, a digital only, having 2 different subtitles of Sauna and Barbecue, even winning an award at the Grab Your Japan Awards for Best Original Work. I assume it means Best First Book, or just originality, I guess. But Kana also found herself in a little bit of trouble retweeting a post that was slandering some Niji members, which I honestly don't even really want to comment on because I don't know or care about the details. It was most likely a simple mistake, could have been from her manager, or she just really doesn't like her senpai, though I highly doubt it's the last one. Either way, again, I had to bring it up because I'm sure someone else would have. Also, it makes the Hasu section a little bit longer. Actually, to end on something more fun, shoutouts to her arm wrestling Yoriko Magata early in the year, Kana being the one in the green, losing terribly. On to Kokona no Naka, and I just want to briefly re-mention her performance on day 2 of the Hasu Chiba concert, where she messed up on the lyrics twice and completely broke character to ask them to reset the song. Despite her being real young, still in high school in fact, she handled the situation very well and gave a great performance. Well, actually, this does lead me into the next fact. She was not in high school during the performance, as she had graduated like 3 weeks prior, meaning this was the year that she graduated high school. That is crazy. Then she was featured in My Girl Magazine, Volume 39, though it may have actually been with LoveLive, but she was there again for Volume 41, being in Dragon Age magazine and in Love Voice magazine much later in the year. There was an event for Anse Musume, and then her monthly Nico livestream is still ongoing. Kona Tsukine was part of her agency's White Swan drama reading, which I may have forgotten to mention as a group thing, but her Chihaya Yoshitake, Nozomi Suzuhara, and Sayuri Date were all in it. And like many others, she was also featured in this Dragon Age magazine, something I literally never heard of until this year. And now I'm pretty sure like 6 or 7 LoveLive girls were featured in it within the same year. But with Kona, there's also her Nico stream, which actually started this year, fairly recently, and then her joining the final wave of the Joyu project. Really cool. Kotoko Sasaki had a small unnamed role in episode 8 of Love is Indivisible by Twins. She was a host for an A&G Radio program for about 4 months of the year, the streams even being on YouTube, but they are now all privated. But actually the current new host of that show is Liella's Yuina. There's actually a whole bunch of Liella radios on this channel, and Sasaki would actually end up getting a completely different radio show on the channel. She was also on an episode of Moi Toyota's stream, Moishi being Kotoko's agency senpai. She did some modeling for Segura magazine, also being featured in Love Voice magazine, and, of course, being in the Dragon Age magazine. To end off her section, here is her kitty, posting a lot of YouTube videos involving him, but also playing some Nick All-Star Brawl as well. Nina Hanamiya had a small role of schoolgirl in episodes 8 and 9 of The Foolish Angel Dances with Devils, also joining the Goddess of Victory Nikkei game. The only event I really found was her being in something called a Tokyo Book Night. Shoutouts to the very pretty Marika Kono. Nozomi Nire, despite being the leader, only really had a photo shoot with Young Jump. And now the final lady of the video, Rin Kurusu, had her second photo book, Step by Step, but also a book featured in Weekly Playboy magazine in May. Like Suzuhara, she had some mocapping from YouLive and also promoting the franchise at Anime Japan. Then, as I said earlier, where Liu did the opening, Rin did the ending for I'll Be a Villainess Who Goes Down in History, also having a small role of Eleanor for a few episodes. The track for this show was called What's Your Name? Then her other new single, Believer, was the first ending theme for the new season of the Reincarnated as a Slime anime. Then for the final thing of this video, something I mentioned earlier, Rin along with a bunch of Liella girls were part of the first Star Rise fan live, this being the agency that they all belong to. And so with that, we have reached the ending of this epically long video. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope I was able to have things clear and simple. Also, this obviously took a very long time to make, so if you could leave a like and maybe even subscribe, that would be great. I usually don't ask for subs, only in these like really big long videos. Anyway, no matter what you do, definitely join me in the next one, everything that happened with the Bushy Road franchises in 2024. As always, I look forward to seeing you there.